Daystar University here in Nairobi. I'm Smriti Vidyarthi.
And I'm Mark Masai, just to acknowledge those who made this possible, and that is including the Institute for the Social Accountability, and that is TISA, Youth Alive Kenya, AFRICOG, as well as the International Leadership Foundation and the East Africa Center for Law and Justice.
As well as Davasha, Simama 2017, the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya, the NCCK, KCPF, Sitam, Hesabika, Daystar University, Elnet, and also Mkenya Daima.
And we're going live, of course, here on NTV, and this conversation will go on for this next hour, and we have some rules of engagement.
We certainly do. We have a live audience with us in the house, and they have been asked to remain quiet throughout the session, except for an introductory clap for our candidates, who, by the way, are all in the house, so we're very pleased about that. The audience has also been asked to refrain from any further clapping, cheering, or jeering, and they will have an opportunity to field questions later on during this debate.
And all the 7 candidates have also been briefed on the regulations, especially for time, and have been required to remain civil during the conversation and respect each and every one of their colleagues as they make their point. However, you can interject by raising your hand in case you do want to interject and make a point on something that has been raised by one of your counterparts.
Well, we'll now begin by asking each of the candidates to introduce themselves to the live audience here and you, the viewer. They need to tell us what they will bring to the table if they are elected the next senator of Nairobi. Candidates, you will each have 1 minute to make your introductory remarks and sell yourselves. Tell us, what is it that you will do different as senator of Kenya's capital city? After 1 minute, you will each be prompted and made alert that you need to stop speaking, and we will request that you respect time and stop speaking. Good luck to all of you. We begin with the candidate on my left, that is Edwin Sifuna from NASA. Your time begins now.
Thank you, Simriti. Thank you, Mark. My name is Edwin Sifuna. I'm the ODM candidate for Senate in Nairobi. Edwin Sifuna is a Kawaida resident of Nairobi. I came to this city almost 20 years ago, just like many Nairobians who came to seek a life for themselves. I received my training in law here in Nairobi. Nairobi also gave me a wife, so I'm a husband. And I have 1 daughter. Above everything else, I am a passionate Kenyan. I am a lawyer by training, an advocate of the High Court, and I was also honored by my colleagues and elected to represent the Nairobi advocates on the Council of the Law Society of Kenya.
And that is your time, sir, Bwana Sifuna. Now to John Wamagata.
My name is John Wamagata. I have a wife, I have 2 sons, and I have 1 daughter. And I'm the treasurer for Center for Multi-Party Democracy. I'm also the national director of election for Safina Party, which I'm vying on. And I lead a group called Operation Ondoa Panya, which has been fighting corruption in all counties in this country. We have gone to 15 counties in Kenya where you have taken rats. You'll see, I'll also give everybody this magazine to see whichever place you have gone to. And I'm sure that you'll see that we have been fighting corruption in all the counties.
And your time is up. You will have time later to continue. To the only lady standing on the podium here, Susan Lengewa, you are an independent candidate. Your time starts now.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Susan Lengewa Silantoy, as you've said. Most people know me as Silantoy. I am an independent candidate, and I'm vying for Senate in Nairobi County. I am a firstborn in a family of 2 children. I'm a graduate of Kenyatta University. I go to church at Sitam Valley Road. And I am vying to be the senator of Nairobi because I don't want to watch in the sidelines as my generation cries out. I want to sit at the table where decisions are made.
And you will tell us a bit more as we continue. Now to Bwana Govind Gorasia.
Okay, my name is, first of all, is Ramesh Chandra Govind Gorasia. That's my full name. And I'm a businessman by professional. I own Taj Mall. I also have a farm in Kibwezi. I have a construction company, I have a hardware company. I also deal with import and export. And actually, I've decided now to give back to the society as Kenyans have built me where I am today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just to request all candidates before we continue to speak as loud as possible so the audience at the back can hear you. Zakaria Momanyi, your time begins now.
I'm Zakaria Momanyi Matayo. I'm a candidate for Senatorial seat in Nairobi. I'm sponsored by a political party known as Republican Liberty Party, which I'm working as a national chairman. Also, I'm active working with the Civil Society, National Civil Society Congress. And I believe I'm here today to be elected by the people of Nairobi to do the necessary to see that the life changes.
Bwana Dennis Ndumbi.
Thank you very much. My name is Dennis Ndwiga Ndumbe, vying for Senator Nairobi. I believe, number one is I believe in the God Almighty, our Father, creator of heaven and earth. I believe in democracy. I believe in a political process. I believe in transformational politics. And ultimately, I believe I'm the right man to change the demeaning politics that this country has been embracing for 54 years. I'm also a security professional. I'm also the founding chairman of Christians in Politics Kenya and founding chairman of Christians for Ethical Politics and Governance Alliance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Johnson Sakaja.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Johnson Sakaja. I am a member of parliament as we speak. I came to Nairobi 32 years ago through birth. I've been born and raised in this city. This city has given me everything, my identity, and even my vision for leadership. And I seek to serve the great people of Nairobi as the next senator. Thank you.
That is your time.
Thank you very much to you all. Now, of course, all you candidates are vying for the seat of the Senator of Nairobi. However, the Senate has in the past been undermined many a times by the National Assembly. And one may argue, what really is the relevance of the Senate in the first place? Why does Kenya need senators across the country? Johnson Sakaja, you mentioned you are part of the National Assembly, a nominated member. In your view, what really is the relevance and the importance of the Senate?
Thank you very much for that question. Smiti, on top of being a member of parliament currently, I was part of the constitution-making process where we discussed, all of these institutional arrangements that we have today. And I'd like to say that the Senate will play a critical role, and does play a critical role, not just in protecting devolution, but also in promoting devolution. Of course, over the past few years, we've had a lot of competition between various institutions, seeking relevance. And I think that has been negative, but I believe we can strengthen the Senate. It needs more vibrance. The Senate is set up in the Constitution, if you look at Article 95, 96, to be able to play that role. And whenever we've had all these fights, I have been telling members of Parliament that even a bird does not ask which wing is more important, the left or the right wing to fly. It needs both wings to be able to fly. So I think the Senate is an important part of our governance structure and of devolution.
Let's talk about the relevance in terms of whether this is a hold kind of position, because several of you here have initially shown intention to run for other positions. Bwana Sakaja, you wanted to run for governor. Bwana Sifuna in Nairobi wasn't the first pick. Is this just a settling kind of position before you figure out what next?
Absolutely. One of the clearest...
It is.
I'm saying absolutely not. One of the clearest things in my mind is where I want to go. And I believe that given the opportunity to serve in the Senate, I would actually demonstrate the importance of that house. As Smriti, your co-host, started by saying, we have seen an assault on the Senate coming mainly from the National Assembly. And in fact, I thought when you shot the question to the only member of the National Assembly on the seat, on the stage today, he would explain to you, because I am aware that in fact it is the Budget and Appropriations Committee of the National Assembly, on which he is a member, that passed a resolution to scrap the Senate because in their argument it was too expensive to maintain the Senate. So he's running for a seat that he wanted to scrap. But for me, having been a defender of devolution from the start, that this was an absolutely beneficial way of ensuring that we get development across the country of Kenya, and having bought into devolution from the start, I believe I would be best placed to defend the interests of the counties and the county of Nairobi in particular on the floor of the Senate.
Susan, why are you beginning your political career vying for the Senate?
I'm vying for the Senate because I do feel like the Senate will address the issue that I feel is missing in our government today. That issue is oversight and accountability on the part of the county government and the Senate as well. I want to be there so that I can hold the county accountable on behalf of the people of Nairobi, because I feel like that is the main issue we have. We cannot have a budget of 35 billion in the past year and have not much to show for it. We cannot have 6 billion in health and not have much to show for it. The health system is crumbling, and so I feel like the Senate will address that issue.
All right, and to Bwana Sakaja, just to respond to something that was brought up in terms of your current position and your importance, at least what you allude to importance of the Senate. Is it too expensive a position to hold? We should do away with?
Thank you, Mark. First of all, allow me to correct Mr. Sifuna. I think research is important before coming for such debates. I am not a member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. I'm a member of the Finance and Planning Committee. But on top of that, I'm the chairman of the Joint Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunities, which means that I'm the only member of National Assembly who chairs a committee that also has senators. I've interacted with them for the last 4 years. Great men like Otenyo Kajwang, the late, men like Senator Obure, people even the age of my father. And I've been able to understand the challenges in the Senate and what needs to be done. On to your question, I don't think it's an expensive thing to have. Of course, I agree with the SRC Commission in rationalizing salaries of all office holders, but I think it's necessary. I think democracy is necessary, and we must always be able to stand as vanguards to protect the devolution that we have and the democracy that we seek.
Mr. Gorasia, you are a businessman, you said. You own Taj Mall. On the topic of budgets and wage bills and finances, the wage bill takes up most of the resources. Nairobi ranks 45 out of 47 in terms of development. It in fact spends less than the required 30% that is allocated. Being the capital city of the country, what would you do as a businessman to change this?
Well, I'll put everything's accountable, especially today if you look at our parking revenue. As public, we don't know how much is revenue coming in. Land rates, we don't know what is coming in. These business licenses are there. Nobody knows how much is collected. There are daily collections of the workers. Nobody knows. So I want to make sure that every penny which is coming to our counties must be reported to the public. This is what is coming. And then whatever is spent, there are those priorities needs to be done. First, look at our housing, where people live of our country. Whenever this political career I just started because I was going to Kijijis to start donating. I was like really feeling for them from heart that this is where the Kenyans live, and this is where we have a government for last 55 years. I'm not accepting that. So that is what made me, like why I chose a senator, because a senator position is to guide even a president and governor. People don't know the power of senator. Senator is a very powerful position. It's just people are undermining it. In fact, even if I was looking at salary remuneration, they were just putting it like an MP. And whereas the senator is supposed to control whole country, including the president, if he misbehave, he could be removed by passing the resolutions. So this is not the position. Somebody, if can understand, and people will understand me, I want to give this country a different direction and different change they're looking at.
All right, and just to remind the lady and gentleman that you can interject in terms of a response in case you'd want to add on to something or a rebuttal. And Bwana Wamagata, you have spoken proudly of your Ondoa Panya operation. What else would you want to Ondoa within Nairobi, having known the first run of the current senator?
Let me first of all say that I've been fighting corruption when I'm outside. Now I want to fight it from within, when I'm inside, when I'm elected the senator, so that I can see that we finish corruption completely in the counties. We should make laws that seal those loopholes in the counties, so that we don't lose those the kind of finances that we are, or the revenue that we are losing. So I think I'll be more active when I'm inside the Senate to fight corruption, and also forget about the taking rats to the counties.
All right, thank you for that. Zakaria, in your view, there has been talk about corruption and, of course, making changes that you or your colleagues would bring to the table. But how would you make some of the changes that Nairobi City requires?
Concerning corruption, the real problems lies in Deputy Director of Prosecution. Third job, third man there, has never prosecuted even a housefly. That is where the country went wrong, and unfortunately is there for 8 years. However, when I will get in, we thought the evidences, we thought the thieves around, grabbers of land. When big projects in the slum areas, they start, and then people get out with the money. I have to take him to court. However, in the back, civil society organization where I was one of them, we are taking them to court to prevent them from ascending, but due to corruption, he made it. So, corruption in the country lies with that man, and it must be removed.
You've spoken of corruption. I'd like to throw this to Dennis Nthumbi, and you've, in your introductory statement, made reference to the heavily politicized running of the city, and you want to change that. Correct. Well, there's talk currently of having definitely not on policy, but on party lines, having a 6-piece kind of voting pattern. What's your response to this?
Certainly, Mark, that's a very, very key question. Nairobi, the politician, basically, what it is that we call the political class, they've made sure that they've over-politicized Nairobi politics so that they can make sure that we have a population that is overly poor. The essential thing is that if you look at the dynamics, is that Nairobi has a population, basically a population that resides here of about 4 million. 3 million of those Nairobi residents are in the slum areas. By that, they can be able to manipulate and ensure that that population is available to them for any kind of political manipulation. But speaking about what it is that I will do, I'm known as a security person with great success. I'll be a defender of devolution. And I'll be a defender of devolution in 4 dynamics. And one of them is making sure that we break up the centralization of power. Mark, what it is that we've seen in this country is that devolution has been abused, and what we've seen is that we've created 47 presidents of fiefdoms. And if this country goes on like that, we are likely to put it into a fragile state more than what it is that we are seeing now. My second bit will be strengthening national unity. Zakaria here sits in a department in National Assembly that should have ensured that cohesion is one of the things that we gravely promote, but we are divided more than ever. My other bit is basically enhancing local democracies, that power belongs to the people. If you look at Article 1 of the Constitution. And my last one is basically making sure that I fight for local development and service provision, which the sitting governor, both the county government and the national government, have ensured that there hasn't been any service provision. Okay. And they got in there as businessmen.
Thank you. We have in the past heard many of these points before. We want to tackle corruption. Once I become senator or once I am in government, I will fight. Really, Mr. Sifuna, in your view, how has the current senator of Nairobi performed? And if not so well, what have the issues been? Why not?
Well, the current senator of Nairobi has his strengths and also his weaknesses. And every time I'm asked that question, I always say, first you must understand what the role of a senator is. If your job is to defend the county of Nairobi, the county government of Nairobi, and the interest of the county government, and to defend the people of Nairobi, and to legislate on behalf of the people of Nairobi, and to oversight on behalf of people of Nairobi, then you have a solid, source from which you can go to actually grade the current senator on those 4 roles of a senator as specified under Article 96. And for me, he scores very poorly because I cannot remember any time when he stood up in the Senate or the floor of the Senate to defend the interests of Nairobi. I will give you a very easy example. The current government owes Nairobians, each Nairobian 80,000 shillings. about 72 billion shillings is owed to the county government of Nairobi. And one of the most shameful things is that when our governor went to the Senate, because the law tells him this is where you're supposed to go if you wanted somebody to defend your interests, and he asked the Senate to please help me get this money. The Senate sent him back to the courts, telling him you could very well go to the courts and get a court order to auction Parliament, which was ridiculous. So where was our senator? I know why some people might consider him, popular, because he does what he refers to as philanthropy. Nobody can ever fault philanthropy, but we are saying we need somebody in the Senate who will introduce solutions that are permanent. That when you take water with a Bowser to Korogosho slums one day, the next time you're eating meat with the president at Dagoretti Corner, tell him, hey, chief, I am not taking water this Sunday. You need to go and drill the boreholes that are in the Nairobi Water Development Master Plan. So I believe that it just requires somebody who understands the job and who has the skills. And I believe that from day one, you will be able to see the difference between Senator Sonko and Senator Sifuna.
How separate is it in terms of the roles, and how significant would you be able to partner with the governor? Because it's easy to point out the senator and his failures, but they work within one county and one government at the county level. So is this also a failure as well with the governor, and how would you change that in working with the governor?
First of all, I understand that the role of a senator is not to fight with the governor. The role of a senator is to fight for Nairobians. And for you, first get what the governor needs for him to be able to do his job. Then follow up and find out if that has actually been done. So the difference is in the fact that as, different from the current senator, I actually understand what the role of a senator is. So when you get your resources, for instance, just put up a fight on behalf of the people of Nairobi. And we have people here who could actually have helped to get Nairobi this money so that we have the roads and the hospitals that we talk about, but they have been sitting giddy with the government that owes Nairobians money. Now they want to come and serve in the Senate. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we need somebody who would actually put up a fight on behalf of Nairobians, and I believe I'm that.
John Wamagata, do you believe you are that person that can really put up such a big fight? Because it is a huge responsibility.
First of all, let me say that I'm a very tough person. Still, while I'm outside, I've been able to face governors in various counties. I remember I faced the governor of Nakuru due to the ghost workers who are there. You also saw me in Makueni, where I had gone there because of fake allowances, where I was challenging the governor there. I also went to Machakos because of the many foreign trips that were there. I also went to even Nyeri, where the governor, the MCS wanted to build a sauna and a health club. And I made sure that didn't go, which was also was all over in the media. So I believe if I get that chance, I don't mind whoever comes as a governor in Nairobi, but I'm sure I can face him head on.
What are some of the misplaced priorities in terms of Nairobi? You've spoken of the saunas elsewhere, but we've seen the posh gardening that has been put together, especially when we're about to have visitors to the capital. What are the misplaced priorities for Nairobi County that you've seen, that you would change?
Well, first of all, let me say that I've never seen any development by the county government of Nairobi for the past. It's only when the US president was coming to Nairobi that I saw them doing some few jobs, flower jobs in town. But they performed very badly. Actually, what they have been doing and what I've seen is that there have been a lot of grabbing of public school land. A lot of schools have lost their land. I'm also the one who recovered Isiri Market, where I took 300 young men to face the 50 people who are there and did whatever we did, which I can't say on media.
Well, is that going to be your way of handling things?
Well,
instant justice, as has been seen elsewhere.
Let me tell you, if you don't get justice, because we have already written a lot of letters to the EACC, which does not do anything. Like now, I'll give you an example. We took a letter to the EACC in Nyeri because of Muranga MCS who didn't go to Israel because of they just pocketed the money, and they didn't go to Israel. And we told EACC these people have done a criminal thing, and they didn't arrest them. The passport were not stamped. So the EACC is not helping in any way. So where justice is denied, what do? You use other means. What are these other means?
Okay.
That's what I've been using.
Thank you very much. Susan, of course, you know very well that politics can be indeed dirty and a rough ride. Do you think that your youth, your lack of experience will be a disadvantage to you getting the seat as Nairobi Senator?
I don't think so. One, because the majority of the population is me, and I am the majority of the population. And so I think my age is an asset, because I come with the experience of being a young person. I come with the experience of not entertaining the status quo. I don't have experience in corruption. And so I bring in a fresh new package, in which that is what we need to start voting for if we want to see real change in our country. I think we as young people are really underestimated, and we have a lot of potential. And so as young people, we need to stop limiting ourselves in terms of what we can do, because this is a seat for us as well. I think it's just a misconception that it is a seat of the wazee, because as young people, we have issues that are addressed at the Senate, and if we are not there, then our issues are not properly addressed.
All right. Bwana Govind, you would speak highly in terms of business and the favorable environment for business, working environment here. And the current government has spoken highly of the guests that it has hosted. But do you think the environment right now and the national framework is sufficient to attract foreign direct investment?
I don't think so, because we have said computerized. Computers are coming, people are sabotaging it. If you look at our city council planning department, in around 1991, I used to get approval in 1 week. Today I get approval after 3 months. After that, you have to go to now central government, like if you are next to the airport, you go there. Like I have put approval there is 4 years now. They tell me security, they never answer. So I think the more departments we are creating, like if you look at our ICC, this anti-corruption is there, and we have IPOA now. This is a repetition of duties which we are trying to create. We are creating more departments, we are creating more expense for the country, but it's not helping anything. The best way is to come up with the good laws to stop this nuisance which is happening in this country. Put a proper systems and let government officials to be held liable for everything. Because today law says, kupeana chai, you're in wrong. Kuchukua chai in wrong. Who is going to complain?
But
because the problem who is suffering today is the person who wants the service. So when he wants the service, he finds all his ways to move on with his business. If the systems were straightforward, where you send an email, you get a reply, which we don't get in our government, okay? And if you look at, we are talking of corruption. Corruption could not be finished. Like if you look at our NYS fund, it was lost. People were taken round and round and there, no result. End of the day, money was lost and nobody was jailed.
And how do you intend to change these systems?
This system can only be changed when you put proper computerized system with the highly secured programs. Because today, the programs have been created, just made for themselves, where they can able to insert something. The other day, I had a bill of land rates, 450,000. The lady told me, you pay me half, I'll able to make for you zero. How? When the computerized system is there,
so what did you say to her?
How is that lady will able to do that? You see, these are the, because if our computer is coming, computers are all play around. If you don't have a proper controls and passwords in those computers and administration, then this computer is useless. It does not do anything, because computer does not work on its own. It works with the people. So you need a system where, especially the law, when you talk of anti-corruption, I will not hold any public person to be liable for any corruption. It's the officer who is in charge of doing things wrongly, I'll hold him liable for that.
And just quickly, did you reject her offer?
Sorry?
Did you reject her offer?
Yeah, I rejected, because I'm the person who is very straightforward. In fact, I'm very bitter with the government where it is operated. That's why I've come into government, because you can't be talking outside here every day and say you complain about the government, and yourself, you have refused to take responsibility as a Kenyan, to serve the Kenya.
All right. Let me jump on as a career and just ask about something that is very at the heart of every Nairobian, and that is the security. How would you change the security mechanism in Nairobi to make it a safer capital?
The threat to life.
That was to Bwana Ndombi, who is a security specialist at the moment, as he
We'll come back
says.
to you
I'll
in a
come
moment.
back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mark. First of all, it's tragic for me to be on this podium and hear both members of NASA, who is Mr. Gorasia and Mr. Edwin Sifuna, talk down the same government that they're supporting. Basically trying to bite the hand that is consistently feeding their campaigns and them. And it's a tragic thing. They should actually call off the governors and call out their government and say that their government hasn't delivered services to the people and is consistently ripping off the people of Nairobi. But coming to the issue of security, the issue of security, Mark, is not just policing and ensuring that we have guns in the streets. Nairobi has a humanitarian crisis. As I said, residents within the slum areas are 3 million out of the 4 million Nairobi residents. They are starving. They don't have any services. They don't have proper housing. They consistently don't have anything to themselves. If I take you back to the post-election violence, basically the sparks and the matchbox were sitting within our slums. If we do not rebuild our slums, if we do not create employment, if we don't ensure that service trickles down to our slum areas, we're in big problems. And that's the first place that we need to go to ensure that we offer service. But what it is that I want to do is that I would like to introduce a bill that basically brings about a policing department that is metropolitan to ensure that we take care of the specific issues that cities present. Policing a city is absolutely different from policing a village and thereabout. So we have to make sure that we do a proper fragility assessment for Nairobi, and bringing in a bill will ensure that we look critically at the issues that are plaguing this county and in matters of security.
I'll hold you on that point because there's something you brought up that Bwana Sifuna raised his hand and wants to respond to. A failed Nairobi government, then why don't you call off your governor candidate and let us have a different...
the allegation that Dennis is making, and I think in the interest of a fairness of a debate, you need to ask him to substantiate, because I am a lawyer of no mean repute, and I don't know how the practice of security is, but it has been a good season for lawyers. And I've made some money that is sufficient for me to finance my own campaigns. So I don't know why he would go and say, I am being financed by the county government. I have also made a lot of friends, and they have been making contributions to my campaign. So unless he has any substantiation to make, I think he needs to withdraw that remark. And also just to educate him that security is actually a national government function, and that as a senator, you really cannot speak to those things unless you're saying you want to push the central government to allocate more resources in terms of police officers and other security installations in the city because of the special needs of the city as a capital of Kenya.
Mark, I think Mr. Sifuna missed my point, but I'll forgive him on that. My issue is that he's an ODM official, and it's ODM that has been sitting at the helm of Nairobi. So thereabout, we know what he stands for. And talking down in terms of the gains that haven't been made in Nairobi, having him sit as an official of ODM, then it's tragic enough. And there's no need for me to withdraw any statement. But speaking about the matter of security, I think I'm well versed in terms of the issues that plague security. Security is not just, you need to see prevailing issues that create a suitable environment for security in a county. And, as a senator, you're able to give an added advantage. I'm able to give an added advantage given the fact that that's my specialization, to ensure that we deal with the critical issues of service dispensation within slums. And having to do that, then we by and large, because what happens even as a politician getting into the slums... I'm
afraid you're running out of time.
Yes,
so
what it is,
please finish
just
that
1 minute so that
briefly.
I finish, is that in the slum areas, Mark, a lot of people have organized themselves either in vigilantes or militias. And those are basically the youth that come out in the night to ensure that they get something to take home. If we don't deal with the humanitarian crisis in Nairobi, and if we're not serious about service dispensation, and if we're not serious about devolution, then insecurity will plague this country. And if we're not serious about equity, then we'll have major security issues to deal with.
Thank you. Mr. Momanyi, what is your view on security, insecurity here in Nairobi? And as part of the Senate, as it were, what action would you take? What would your proposals be to address insecurity?
Everybody knows security is caused by the national government, which has created a lot of slums intentionally through the former provincial administration. Those are the chiefs and sub-chiefs. But when in the Senate, because I know the fears, I know the feeling of the people of slums, I've interacted with them in terms of wealth, water, education, and all of these jobs. So if you go there, Other people are living without working. Others are working without living. I make sure I talk to investors. I work all over the country. I work all over the world to make sure investors have come to this site to help those people get jobs. And then slum upgrading, it is mandatory because money in this county is huge. We have a huge budget. But if you look at the Schedule 4 of the Constitution, national government has taken 35 functions, while the county has taken 14 functions, including paring of dogs. That is what the county has been given in our Constitution, paring dead animals. So we will force the national government to surrender some functions, some roles to the counties, so that these governors are not idle. When they are idle, they engage so much in corruption because they have nothing to do with the money. Because all functions, national government. This is national government.
Right.
Third one will be what I will do.
I think Madam Susan wants to make a point there because you've touched on the youth and some of the accusations about insecurity.
Oh, yeah. He's talked about the youth being involved in insecurity. I think a main cause of insecurity is lack of employment for the young people in this country. We stand at about 65% rate of unemployment. So you wonder, what are these almost 1 million people doing to be able to eat, to be able to have a meal at the end of the day? And so something that we can do is actually fix the unemployment rate. And I think the county government in this, Mr. Sifuna's governor, has not done much in terms of he has not done much in terms of youth, because if you look at the budgets for the year 2016-2017, there's only 20 million allocated to the youth empowerment as compared to the 35 billion budget that is there. That is just about 0.0005 of the county budget, and it puts me in an awkward situation. Like, people are always talking about putting the youth affairs at the forefront, and yet they allocate 0.0005% of the budget. That is nothing but lip service to the youth. And so if we are able to empower our youth to be able to give them employment, then we can deal with some of the issues of insecurity.
Right, just a point here, because I need to engage Sakaja, and we have a few minutes, just a couple of minutes. How do we separate? We've talked about the National Assembly and the relationship with the Senate, and I'll give you an opportunity to give the rebuttals. But how different is it, or separate, with the governor as well? Your relationship with the governor, because your party has been, going ahead about the 6-piece voting. Is that to say that we have to have the same governor and the same Senate from the same party, you can read from the same page so that we can work, or is that from what we've seen with the current government?
Mark, please, you'll allow me to give rebuttals and answer this. I think
real quick, please.
I'll cut off a break. Number one, I must support what Susan Silantoi has said when she was asked whether being young has been a disadvantage to her. And I want to encourage her as a young person. From the book of 1 Timothy 4:12, do not let anyone look down upon you because you're young, but set an example. I've gone through that. I became chairman of a ruling party at age 27, chairing people older than my parents. In the beginning, they were very dismissive, but after that, I got tremendous respect, and I still do across the divide. I also want to support that, the fact that the problem with insecurity in Nairobi and in this country is not about policing. It's not about adding, the number of police and equipment. It's about creating opportunities for these young people. The biggest threat to our security in this country is millions of disillusioned, disengaged, and hopeless young people out there who do not have anything to hope for. And that is why, as a member of parliament, I have brought legislation repeatedly that has passed parliament that addresses these issues. I brought a 30% amendment to the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, that 30% of all procurement should be reserved for young people, women, and persons with disability to engage them economically. It is not being implemented in Nairobi. It is not being implemented by many of the ministries, and I've been playing an oversight role to that. And I was releasing a list of shame of ministries and county governments, and Nairobi is one of the worst. Number two, I brought legislation about the National Employment Authority, where we can actually make sure that these young people in Kenya and in Nairobi get a fair shot at life. That it doesn't matter where you're from, what your name is, so long as you have the requisite qualifications to provide internship opportunities for children in universities like this one, Daystar, and to make sure that we match the skills being taught in university with what is being needed in the job market. Because what is going on in many universities is simply postponing the unemployment of our young people. Unless you address that, even if you have 1 million cops, they will still be insecure.
Okay, thank you very much for that point. I'm afraid at this point we don't have time for rebuttals, but we will continue this conversation. We do need to take a break right here. To our candidates, thank you very much, but be sure this conversation continues after the 9 o'clock news. You are indeed watching the Nairobi Senatorial debate, coming to you live from the Daystar University with a full house of 7 candidates and a full live audience as well. When we return, we'll hear much more. For now, though, over to studio for NTV Weekend Edition with Victoria Rubadiri.